Rotary phones.
Horse and buggy, still the mode of transportation.
We're underway. A Cloud from Raptor to start things off. Here in our finals from Worcester. And Duke did mulligan down to 6. Fabiano going to play a Temple of Deceit. Going to leave that card on top before passing the turn back over to Duke. See if Duke has a way to evolve that Raptor. This is an island. The answer is no. So Fabiano draws the card that he kept, and he will play a Thoughtseize. So Fabiano will see 2 copies of Thassa along with the Nightveil Spectre and a copy of Nykthos.
A tough hand to Thoughtseize here. There's an uncastable, as of right now, Nightveil Spectre and a redundant copy of Thassa.
One thing to keep in mind here, Fabiano does have detentions here, 4 copies to be exact. Also does have 4 copies of Supreme Verdict to wipe away the creatures, 4 Azorius Charms. Seems like a lot of those, but he is a big fan of that card.
As am I. Azorius Charm is busted.
It's got a bad rep.
Cutting that card always struck me as nonsense. The logic applied. I lost that match. I drew too many copies of Azorius Charm.
A Temple of Silence.
Couldn't figure out anything to do with them.
As Fabiano will take a look at the scry here.
Just all these dead draws.
Gonna leave it on top very quickly. You saw Fabiano with the Thoughtseize take the Nightveil Spectre. So here's Thassa. There will be no evolution, of course, for Cloudfin Raptor. You have to imagine that Fabiano probably has some number of detention spheres now at the ready. Here's another copy of Thoughtseize. So there goes the Thassa. Fabiano going to go down to 16. There's an island. Simply pass the turn back. Will Gerard over to Duke, who does get the opportunity to scry here with Thassa. Smooth things out a little bit. Top card's going to go to the bottom. We know Duke has an island in his hand. We'll find out what he can add to it in just a moment. Looks like another island. So there is that. Just going to pass the turn back over to Fabiano. Will Duke. Fabiano quickly going to draw his card. Move towards his 4th turn.
You get the feeling it's going to be hard for Reid to beat either Supreme Verdict or Detention Sphere this game, the way that's shaping up.
Temples of Deceit. Top card stays on top. Fabiano going to pass it back. 3 mana at the ready. Top card goes to the bottom yet again here for Duke. A mystery card is drawn. We know he has an island. Looks like he's got another spell to cast now. This is a Tidebinder Mage. We'll see if that's allowed to resolve. Fabiano gives that the green light, which means Cloudfin Raptor will evolve. And of course, both players have access to each other's deck lists, so Duke knows that Fabiano does have 2 copies of Dissolve.
But pretty light on counterspells. Yeah. Usually Esper control decks, there's 4 Dissolves and some number of syncopate effects. Gerard's list taps out so much more because of Ashiok. It doesn't want to play a lot of counterspells.
Cloudfin Raptor will come across here for 1. Fabiano's going to go down to 15. Detention Sphere was the draw. Pretty important one. Here's a Thoughtseize. Make sure the path is clear. Fabiano going to go down to 13. Just going to take a look at an island. There's a Hallowed Fountain comes in to play tap. There's a D-Sphere on the Thassa. So now Fabiano's got to beat the creatures.
And beating this crew right here, probably not the hardest.
Oh, this motley crew.
This squad.
Win for 3 comes the squad. Fabiano's going to go down to 10. Duke will play that island before passing the turn back. Fabiano will quickly untap and draw. We'll see if he has a Supreme Verdict to clear things up. There's a Mutavault, and there is a Verdict. So away goes the Raptor and the Tidebinder Mage. Fabiano's beginning to turn the corner a little bit. He's dealt himself quite a bit of damage from Thoughtseize, but he has stabilized at 10. There is a Revelation right now for 3. Gerard going to draw 3 and gain 3 up to 13 he goes. I do love the main phase rev there just because he can make sure he hits a land. One of the lands he hit was a Temple, leaves that card on top.
Now all he needs to do is just find one of his ways to win.
That's all it takes.
Anything will do from here. You can see the look on Reid's face. He's playing out the stretch here. He knows he's basically doomed.
Here comes the Mutavault. Duke going to go down to 18. Fabiano just going to pass the turn back. Duke with 3 mana. This is a Nightveil Spectre. See if Fabiano has any way to get that off the board. As it does resolve. Here comes Mutavault.
I believe this is the attack of a man with an Azorius Charm.
I have a feeling you're correct. 4 of them again in Gerard's deck.
And Gerard can comfortably trade card for draw step like that. Because he is up so much on resources.
Nightfall Spectre will come right back into play. Fabiano take a draw here. See if we see the same song and dance again. And we will. He says, I'll block. I'll Zorish Charm again. Pass it back. There's Nightfall Spectre. And now here's a Devour Flesh, so Gerard does find an answer. Duke will take a look at his card. He'll gain a little bit of life now. Water Grave will come into play tapped, and now here comes the Mutavault. Duke will go down to 19. Now Reid with the Tidebinder Mage. There is a Doomblade to get that off of the table. Fabiano untap all those lands. Temple of Deceit gonna come into play. Quickly put the top card to the bottom. And just gonna pass the turn back.
Gerard being very aggressive with his removal there. I'm surprised to see him that quickly fire off the
Judge Familiar, we will have a bit of a response to you, little bird.
Now that makes a lot more sense for Gerard to Doomblade there if he just wanted to clear out his hand and make sure.
That's exactly what I think he's doing. It's just clear everything out. Revelation will resolve in the face of the Familiar. This is 6 mana. There is an Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Elevator going to go up to 5. 3 soldier tokens incoming. You've seen Gerard playing very quickly now. Very happy with this position, and I would be too.
He beat Sigris in about 15 minutes with his Esper control list. So.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
This is the problem game 1. With Reid having no counter spells and his deck is just a pile of creatures, it's very hard to beat Supreme Verdict.
Here comes Judge's Familiar. One thing about Reid, never concedes. You got to beat him.
Yeah, you got to deal lethal. You got to run him out of cards and make him draw a card.
Yep.
You got to, you know,
yep.
10 infect counters, whatever it is, but you got to do it.
Jace, Architect of Thought, going to come in, going to tick up, making that Judge's Familiar relatively irrelevant. You saw Elspeth tick up as well. Duke gripping a Domestication right now.
I guess it's like Cyclonic Rift.
Yep. Doesn't want to use it just yet, though. And we'll just pass the turn. We laugh, but he never concedes for a reason. And when you're in the finals of a tournament, why concede?
Yeah.
You got to beat me. And with Gerard's pace of play, and he's playing very quickly, and here's a Thoughtseize, he could work himself into a mistake. It's certainly possible. Duke is going to overload a Cyclonic Rift now. Now there is a Dissolve, so that's not going to work. Thoughtseize is going to show both copies of Domestication.
Too bad.
Yep. Those will become real cards after Sideboard. So Duke will untap. Time to pick up a card. And the rest of them as well. So Reid Duke is going to lose game number 1 here over Gerard Fabiano. Esper Control up a game over Mono Blue Devotion. Had a feeling he was going to win game number 1, but things changed greatly after Sideboard.
Although Reid surprisingly did concede before lethal was dealt. That must be a concession he's making to his friend there.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm not going to waste our time.
It's heartbreaking to see. Yeah. We'll turn our attention to the sideboards in just a moment, but we're going to come back here in the booth as it is trivia time. Patrick will have the rules, and I will have the 12-month question.
Cedric's going to ask you a question. Tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responses, one will be selected at random to receive a full year of Star City Games premium content. Don't worry about answering first, just answer accurately. And please keep in mind that this contest is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com. Twitch TV is in no way affiliated with giveaways on its stream.
Pretty simple. Next weekend, we are off. M15 is coming out, pre-release.
It'll be fun. I'll actually play. I'll play in a tournament this year. It's gonna
Congratulations.
be fun.
I'm very happy for you. The week after that, we're going to be in Baltimore for the first Standard Open with M15, which will be pretty sweet. Myself, Oslip Odavich, Andrew Shroud and Company will bring you the coverage. However, on day 2 of Baltimore, we're going to do our elimination rounds of Standard. We're going to do a Legacy Open, and then there will be a third tournament starting at 10 p.m. The question, of course, is what is the format of that third tournament that starts at 10 p.m. in Baltimore? And if you can name the format of that third tournament, hashtag the answer with the hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live, and we will announce the winner at the conclusion of our finals match here between Reid Duke and Gerard Fabiano, as we will head back down to the match and take a look at the sideboards, because here come the counterspells for Reid Duke.
Yeah, 3 copies to dissolve, 4 gainsay, 2 negate. He's going to de-emphasize his creatures a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me to see cards like Cloudfin Raptor that compel him to play into Supreme Verdict, hit the bench, and try to basically play a counter slivers Merfolk style game where he gets a threat or 2 into play and backs up with counter spells to try to take the sting out of Supreme Verdict and fight over Gerard's more expensive stuff with counters.
Now, we talked about domestication in Reid's hand. 2 at the end of that game. 1 got Thoughtseize, of course. Kind of a funny moment there. He's got 2 more in his sideboard. Domestication has been a fantastic card for Reid over the course of this week. And you take a look at Fabiano's sideboard. There are 2 Archangel of Thunes and 3 Nightveil Specters. Those are juicy targets for domestication. Do you think Reid leaves any in?
I don't know if he leaves in any copies of domestication. He may choose to hedge here by bringing in one, by either leaving in 1 or bringing in the 2nd copy of rapid hybridization. That gives him some game in the event that Gerard does bring in some of his creatures without stranding him with a potentially fully dead domestication, because he can still use rapid hybridization on his own creatures in response to detention spheres and so forth. So the creatures that Gerard has in his sideboard are definitely threatening. They may warrant some sort of response from Reid. I'd be surprised if he would go so far as to bring in domestications that risk being dead if Gerard doesn't bring in the creatures or simply doesn't draw them over a game. Because remember, Gerard can win very easily just with Jace and Elspeth. He doesn't have to put these creatures into play to win the game. So I think Reid's, if he wants to address these at all, it's going to be through rapid hybridization and not domestication.
Other cards we will almost certainly see here. Deicide, of course, great against Thassa. 2 gainsays against the mono blue deck. I also expect to see Ultimate Price come in. It's great against everything that is not Nightveil Spectre and Mutavault. And we might see the additional Ashiok come in, and then 2 copies of Duress as well. So a lot of options here for Fabiano.
I think I would get away from Ashiok in this matchup. It doesn't seem like a very high-impact Planeswalker. Especially the way Reid's trying to play the game. Although post-board, Reid's slowing down a little bit. Ashiok might get a bit better in that world. I do like the removal spells, of course. The Ultimate Price, the 2 gainsays, the Deicide, those are easy cards to bring in. I think Archangel is powerful enough to warrant bringing in. I'm not sure I feel the same way about Nightveil Spectre. The 2 copies of Duress are reasonable as well, because Reid's signing into so much permission. I'm curious to see what Gerard feels he should cut in the matchup.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
You know, I don't love Dissolve. I'm not sure if the matchup is about counter spells anymore after sideboard, but I could see Dissolve being okay. I kind of agree with you. I don't love Ashiok. I love Sphere. I love Verdict. I love Revelation. I like Azorius Charm. I like Doomblade. Devour Flesh is just okay.
I've never been a huge fan of Thoughtseize against Mono Blue Devotion. Their deck's pretty redundant. The life total definitely is a factor in the way the games play out. I think I would try to get away from that card.
3 Jace Architect thought are going to stay. Maybe the Jace Memory Adept that Gerard has, the main deck goes to the board.
The 5-mana Jace is a very easy cut here, I feel like.
But it seems like Gerard has so many cards that he can bring in. The configuration of his deck could be wildly different from what Reid expects it to be after sideboard.
Yes. He has a lot of different things he can do. And this is part of the fun of having the deck list be public in the elimination rounds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guessing games. It's not out of the question. Reid could bring in domestications, or at least leave in his 2. It is high upside, especially if you anticipate Gerard siding in his creatures. I don't think Reid's going to do it, but it's definitely greater than 0% and something that Gerard has to factor in with the way that he sideboards.
Both players do finish shuffling up here, and we'll be ready in just a moment, of course. We will talk about our dual open weekend that is happening in September 27th, 28th. Gerard's a Jersey guy. You're a Jersey guy, so I imagine you guys will be hanging out that weekend.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We added the New Jersey Open to the schedule. The coverage is going to be there. Myself, Matthias Hunt, will be covering that event. We're still going to have the Open Series in Indianapolis. We expect that one to be very well attended as well. This is our first dual Open Series weekend we've ever done. This is going to be a test of our logistics and staffing and a myriad of other things, but if we can pull it off, this might become more of a regular occurrence.
And that would be sweet.
That'd be really fun.
So we will see what happens September 27th and 28th. Patrick Sullivan and Matthias Hunt will bring you guys the coverage from Edison, New Jersey. But we will also be there in Indy, my old stomping ground. So I look forward to seeing 2 opens that weekend, and I will be watching them. I will have my feet up somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know quite where yet, but they will be up. Fabiano going to start things off here with a Temple of Deceit. You saw Duke play Nylon on his first turn. No turn 1 play, but that's not too surprising. As you mentioned, I think we expect to see probably Cloudfin Raptor out of the deck, and Judge's Familiar being the only one.
Yeah, Judge's Familiar is still good.
Yeah. Frostburn Weird will give Reid his first threat. Fabiano going to play a Hallowed Fountain untapped, going to go down to 18. We'll see if Gerard wants to cast a removal spell here or not. Could be a cycling of Azorius Charm, could just be casting Azorius Charm. Who knows?
Reid's going to test the waters.
Yeah, here comes Frostburn Weird. There's Azorius Charm. That's going to go right on top, and now this is a Nightveil Spectre, and that's a big play, as Fabiano's going to need an answer to this pretty quickly, I think. He does have one. Actually, he has an Ashiok. Now, again, we were a little surprised to see that. But I'm not too surprised. I know Gerard is a huge fan of this card.
He is. And again, post-board, if Reid's going to be playing this slower sort of trying to shuck and jive, not get blown out by a Supreme Vert type of game, Ashiok can get a lot better.
Reid going to take a look at the Nightmare Weaver. We will do the same. Exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library. That's the +2, so it goes from 3 to 5. Put a creature card with a converted mana cost X exiled with Ashiok, so you just take it down for whatever the casting cost will be. As now here's an Ashiok for Reid. And of course the ultimate, I don't think it's really going to come into play in this matchup. -10 exile all cards from all opponents' hands and graveyards.
Come on, Nykthos. Have it, Reid. Come on.
Just an island. I think the more important card is that one. It's a Thassa, and the devotion is at 4 right now. Again, one of the things I actually like about Fabiano's take on Esper is that he is so proactive against every matchup.
Yeah.
You know, he's not boarding into a bunch of deicides and removal spells, and I hope you just don't kill me. I'll just try to prevent you from doing everything. No, he is aggressive the entire time with all these planeswalkers.
You should go back, if you haven't watched it yet, and see his match against Green-White.
Yeah,
Green-White player drew multiple Voice of Resurgence, and Gerard made those look ridiculous by just playing Nyx, Fleece, Rams, and Planeswalkers.
Yep. Elevator going up. Time to take a look. It's a Jace, along with the Frostmourne and an island. So Fabiano likes Ashiok a lot in this matchup. We'll see if Duke decides to continue to ignore it or not, as here's a Devour Flesh. Bye-bye Night Veil. What may be more important is 3 Devotion being removed off the table.
And now nothing is taxing this Ashiok. It's open season. And, you know, Reid does have to worry about the ultimate, you know?
It's real now. We're getting there. Saw Fabiano play a Temple of Silence. Leave the top card on top. As Duke will take a draw here. And there is an island from Duke. It looks like no play here, so Fabiano's going to untap those 4 lands. Going to tick up the Ashiok. 3 more cards coming. There's Rapid Hybridization, 2 copies of Mutavault.
So Reid has left in at least 1 Rapid Hybridization, probably as a hedge against Gerard's creatures.
Not too surprised by that.
And I think Gerard can probably sense that Reid's hand, if anything, is counterspells. I think he's happy to just go ultimate with Ashiok and proceed from there.
Why change what you're doing?
Yeah. It's another time where Gerard has taken advantage of someone siding into a very reactive deck.
Ashiok is up to 11. A Biden of Thassa, a Master of Waves, and another copy of Mutavault. That's 3 Mutavaults gone, by the way. Here's a Hallowed Fountain tapped. Just going to pass the turn back. Duke going to take a look. That top card's going to go to the bottom yet again. Fabiano threatening the ultimate here from Ashiok. It's an island. Just going to pass the turn back. Are we going to see the ultimate? That's a shoulder shrug. Yeah, we sure are.
I want to see this hand.
Doesn't look like anything.
2 Gainsays.
I think it's 3 Gainsays.
3 copies of Gainsay?
Yeah, and a Nightfell Spectre.
Well.
And now here's Nightfell Spectre from Gerard. So now he's turning into the creature deck. We had a feeling we might see this. Top card going to go to the bottom.
And Ashiok isn't going anywhere.
No.
Just keep going.
And D-Sphere. Here's an attack for 2. The trigger is a Master of Waves.
Oh.
And that's worth casting.
It'll play.
Let's keep in mind, Gerard has built decks like this with Master Waves in Esper Shells alongside Nightfell Spectre and Ashiok. So this is a familiar territory for him. He's going to pass the turn here with 2 mana available. A bit of a smile on his face as he does play the Master of Waves.
This is a beating. This is a pure beating.
And there's a rift. Does Fabiano have a gainsay? You see a smile on Reid's face. Can't really believe what's happening here.
Yeah.
Gerard's going to go reaching for some mana. We know he has gainsays in his deck after sideboard. He's going to play a Devour Flesh, and he's going to target himself and eat that Master of Waves. So some things will get picked up here. Now Duke is going to untap. Let's see if Duke can get anything going. That top card looks like it may stay.
he needs to get some stable source of devotion here so he can at least threaten some Thassa attacks down the line. He needs something like Bident or Chase, something that stays in play.
Fabiano going to quickly untap. Here's 4 mana. There's a Jace. That's going to resolve. We're going downtown. Supreme Verdict, and Nyx Fleece Ram, and Archangel. And Fabiano with a lot of creature decks.
He's brought them all in.
Yeah. Archangel's going to go to the grip. The Ram and the Verdict will go to the bottom. Does Fabiano have a land here? No, he's just going to play a Deicide. Whoo, boy. Reid will show an island. Here go the Thassas.
It's not even inconceivable that Reid could get decked in this game because of Ashiok. I mean, he has no gas left in his deck, really.
Well, it's time to draw a card. There's the island, past the turn back. Fabiano going to quickly untap. Going to cash in the Jace. 3 cards coming. There's a Hallowed Fountain. This is an Azorius Charm, and that is a Supreme Verdict. Going to split the piles up. Charm will go to the bottom. Hallowed Fountain's going to come into play untapped. Here's a way for Fabiano to close the game out. However, a top deck dissolve. There's a gain save for that. So, Duke will draw a card. Going to pass the turn back over to Fabiano, who is really going to push his advantage now. There's a Nightfell Spectre pre-combat. Going to play the Archangel attack. Going to grow the Spectre into a 3/4. Of course, gain a little bit of life on the way. Now here's an Ashiok. There's a negate. The counterspells are coming off kind of at the wrong time here for Reid.
Well, there was no good time for her to
Yeah,
have
it's
it.
really true.
The entire game, it was either Ashiok's ultimate was looming or too much damage has already been done.
Trigger from the Spectre. There's an island. Fabiano going to put that into play very quickly.
It speaks to the larger point, though. Gerard sideboard in such a way to make these counterspells matter less and less. This was a sculpted plan. It's not like Reid hasn't drawn a lot of counterspells. In fact, he has. Gerard just played the game in such a way to make them nonsense.
We're going to take a look at all those cards that have been exiled by by Ashiok and Deicide. There's a Temple of Silence. This is an Elspeth. Going to make 3 soldiers. Pre-combat, of course. And here's an attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nightfell Spectre going to come in over here. And Duke will take one more draw step, and he's going to extend the hand. Gerard Fabiano is our standard open champion here in Worcester.
And Reid can only chuckle. What can you say about that?
That was a beating. that was a beating.
That was so fast. And I mean, you can see exactly why Gerard was able to get through Mike Sigris so fast as well. I really like the way that Gerard set it up post-board. It's almost like he's taking the Mono Blues plan against him and taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
If they're going to play this, I'm going to put one threat into play and protect it with counterspells, then suddenly cards like Nyx Fleece Ram become very good.
Yep.
If they're only attacking you with a Frostbird Weird or a Tiebinder Mage, all of this is just compelling them to play more stuff, to tap out more frequently. It takes a lot of the air out of their counterspells, and just playing to the board, playing this more proactive game and not sitting on your heels does a lot to remove the impact of the counters as well. So Gerard doing a very good job of anticipating how Mono Blue sideboards against him and doing sideboarding properly in return, and now he's a standard open champion.